Well, the feminist movement never understood, they got the fact that women had sacrifices of careers, but they had no understanding of the sacrifices in careers. Men made a myriad of sacrifices in their careers. They oftentimes learned that they had to either be a warrior or a sole breadwinner. And if you're a warrior, you have to be potentially disposable. Part of what men's were about were disposability. To this day, 93% of the people who are killed at work are men, but a much even higher percentage of men who are killed from the black lung diseases of being a firefighter. One of my good friends was killed from exactly that at the age of 52, 53. He died from the black lung disease that came from him being a firefighter. Mm-hmm. And so the feminists never understood or gave credit to the sacrifices in work. They always made it seem like work was privilege, work was power. No, work was responsibility that gave up power. Pay is about a paradox. Pay is about the power that you forfeit to get the power of pay. That is, pay is about the power that you forfeit when you have to work 40, 60 hours a week at somebody else's behest, where you have to maybe move to a new location. It's when men have, we think of the pay gap as being discrimination against women. That is just plain not accurate. I wrote an entire book called Why Men Earn More, based on 8-9 years of research I did analyzing the pay gap, and found that there were 25 differences between what men and women do in their work-life choices. Every single one of those differences leads to men earning more money in the workplace. Every single one of those differences lead to women having a more balanced life, having more balance between the work and the home life. Now, if you define power as happiness, which is the way I define it, as opposed to the way men define it, which is power feeling obligated to earn money somebody else spends while they die sooner, which is not quite a great definition of power. Yeah. When you define power as happiness, usually people who have balanced lives are happier. And so what women were and feminists were not understanding is that basically the traditional female role had carved out more opportunities for happiness. But with that before feminism, many women weren't happy either, because they were like Betty Friedan or Gloria Steinem or Katie Couric or some other woman. They had ambitions that could not be fulfilled, and so the brightest and best women in many respects, and in terms of, and ambition-wise, were sort of left out in the cold. So the feminist movement came along and they gave to women the best possible combination: being honored and feeling not shamed no matter what they chose to do. So they carved out an atmosphere in which women could discover themselves. So that's one of the positive contributions of the feminist movement. One of the negative contributions of the feminist movement is that they demonized men, undervalued the family, assumed that we lived in a patriarchal world in which men made the rules to benefit men at the expense of women. Men did not make the rules to benefit men at the expense of women. If men did make the rules to benefit men at the expense of women, it would be female-only draft registration, women going to war and dying while men had the chance to take care of children. It would be women paying for men. It would be addicting women to sexuality and making men feel repressed about sexuality, so that women would feel the powerlessness that comes from wanting sex when the other sex doesn't want sex. It would be requiring women to take the sexual risks of sexual rejection when they were 13, 14, and 15 years of age, and fearing that they were not worthy of a man in their classroom, a boy in their classroom, that they were taking the sexual initiatives with. We would have had women paying for diamonds for men, but men not paying for diamonds for women. We would have had women paying for dinners and drinks for men, and picking up men and driving and sending men flowers. And Valentine's Day would have been about showering men with gifts rather than women with gifts. This is, when we call when we say that women are the oppressed class, all of these things all of our norms would be reversed if in fact women were the oppressed class. There were no groups of slave owners who bought diamonds for their slaves and who bought dinners for their slaves and opened the doors for their slaves and feared rejection by their slaves. This is not an accurate comparison.